Well, it's Good News Friday. I've got Larry Goldberg as should be. That's the way it should be on Good News Friday. Larry, I understand you had good news this week. You did okay in NVIDIA, huh?
Yeah, I did. I hate short-term transactions, but I did it and it went well. It went well. Look, NVIDIA is an amazing company. It's an amazing company. I held it for a very long time and we did well out of it. I sold it during the pandemic at what it was at that time a pretty good price. Of course, if I'd held, it would be a much better price. But I did buy some options prior to close on Friday, and I did sell them out on, not Friday. I'm not talking about on the day before. Yes, Monday it was, and then was Monday? Yeah.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. What is today? Today is Friday.
Friday.
So Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday night, Wednesday evening before close, and then sold them on Thursday. And it's a great company. I would still be a buyer at this price if I were accumulating stock. And I'm not. I am accumulating Tesla, but I'm not right now. The market's very well priced right now. Very well priced.
So I've had this theory for a while, for a week or so, that people were pulling some of their money out of Tesla, putting it into NVIDIA, because I feel like it might be the same kind of trader, the same kind of player.
Yeah, it's fair.
And that now that NVIDIA's had their big run, there might be more people putting money into NVIDIA, because what do people like to do? They like to jump on the bandwagon and buy high. So we might have seen that this slight dip today, and yesterday wasn't so great. Maybe folks pulling out of Tesla, being a little discouraged and trying to grab hold of the last bit of this rally on NVIDIA.
It's possible, Randy. It's more than possible. These short-term movements, I don't know that you can ascribe them to any particular thing. I know Gary likes to have his list of catalysts, and a lot of people are focused on catalysts, and sometimes catalysts are very important, but I just think we're in a fairly long-term wait and see. We've discussed this at length before, and I think it's going to be a while before Tesla. It depends upon the Cybertruck ramp. It depends upon next gen more than anything else, the semi rollout. We're looking at multiple different events to coalesce and drive value, and most of that stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen, towards the middle of next year, in my judgment.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had Cern Basher on. In fact, I'm not sure we've even done this video yet. It might be for tomorrow. But Cern was talking about how nobody believed NVIDIA until the earnings came in. And then it doubles, or, it goes up, $1 trillion
So I
over.
missed what you said. Until when?
People didn't believe that NVIDIA
Yeah.
was right. They didn't believe the story until the earnings actually printed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, yeah, I mean, NVIDIA's been around for a long time, and they're they have been a constant growth company. They've had their challenges
Right.
because of the nature of the semiconductor business. It is a feast and famine business, and so you have to buy it, when there's famine, and then you should stay in it, over time, which, here I'm talking and I got out of it. And so,
Well, Gary Black did have his opinion about why Tesla was down today. Don't know if you saw that, but Gary Black was sure that Elon making the statement about Rivian being potentially going bankrupt in a few quarters if they don't get their act together, drove Rivian down, which then drove all the EVs down, which meant that Tesla went down in sympathy with all of the EVs going down. And
look, Gary, Gary's a master at reading the market. He may be right. I'm not going to argue with Gary if he tells me why the market's moving. I don't have his experience. I will say that people misread what Elon was saying and why he was saying it. I mean, Elon talks about Tesla in exactly the same way. I mean, I've heard Elon say, we've only got 6 months left to live. We're going to have to change, we're going to have to do something. I've heard Elon say that.
yes.
And what he's telling Rivian is, Rivian, you cannot continue doing what you're doing. You're going to go bankrupt. And he's not wrong.
Right.
He's absolutely right. And I think he's doing it out of concern. Why? He doesn't want Rivian to go under.
Right.
It may be different with Lucid. In Lucid, I think he's really, really angry with Peter Rawlinson. But as far as Rivian is concerned, I think he's given them supportive words in the past. But they cannot keep burning this amount of cash. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, agreed. And it's kind of hard for me to believe that they're going to turn it around by the fourth quarter and actually have positive margins. It just seems unreal.
Well, they've got a new model coming along, which is supposed to cost them a lot less. My sense, after having spoken to a few Rivian people, is that they're spending a lot of money on stuff they shouldn't be spending money on.
Yeah.
That is my sense.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to Tesla. Everybody's very excited by all the execs at Tesla that are now chiming in on X and giving us some updates on things. And
yes.
So Rohan Patel. Yeah, Rohan Patel. He is back on again today. He says the progress of FSD in the last few months has been astounding. I encourage everyone with a Tesla or looking to buy one in the US and Canada to give it a try. All the engineers and AI teams are making insane progress. You'll be forced to pay far closer attention when using FSD than you normally do when driving, with no level of automation and with many distractions, which doesn't make much sense to me, but it is the reality given the driver monitoring systems and the regulator requests. The bottom line is your family is far safer with FSD enabled than without it. So I thought that was interesting to hear him talk about the amazing improvements. Yeah.
Rohan is probably the best communicator in Tesla.
Okay.
He does communicate a little bit more than most of the other executives. None of them communicated a lot at all up to a year or so ago. And now they're obviously communicating a lot more. I guess, Elon's feeling a bit more comfortable about that. And it really started around about the time of the investor conference. The investor conference. That was a really, seminal moment for me in terms of my knowledge of the management of Tesla. And I've spoken about my delight at seeing the depth of the bench. And, of them all, Rohan is easily the best communicator. I've met him on several occasions and talked to him. He comes with an enormous amount of experience. He was in the Obama White House. So he's very experienced in working with legislators and executive branch people. He's got a penetrating intellect, as many of the people at Tesla do have, and just the nicest guy. So, I'm excited to have him communicating with people And all his communications are, terrific.
So on a different subject, this was in the CNEV Post today. NIO, a competitor to Tesla, as almost everybody should know, is using Walker. Walker is a humanoid robot, and that humanoid robot is putting logos on the hoods of their cars, also doing quality inspection of door locks, seat belts, headlight covers. It's made by UB Tech, which is now a publicly traded company. I don't know if it's on any of our exchanges. It's probably just it's a China company. The company feels it's important to have the bots in real world working situations. And the article went on to say that these bots may also already be in use at BYD. I'm taking a lap on this one, Larry. I've been saying that they need to be having these bots working in real life situations, and I don't get much love. But apparently, this other bot company thinks that they do. They have a video of it. I didn't bother to put the video up, but the bot appears to be a lot like the other bots we're seeing. Walks about the same speed, moves at about the same rates, but it's certainly an advanced robot.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I don't believe in any video I see anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time now with some bot companies. This is a hard problem to solve. I have my doubts.
Okay.
This is a hard problem to solve, and I don't think we're at the point of solution yet.
All right, let's see. I also thinking about the stock being down today, I was wondering how much of it might be around concerns of the economies in Germany, the UK, China, Japan. I mean, we're talking about these are major auto markets. So even if the US doesn't go into recession, which you believe it will, these companies are in recession, these countries, and this could be weighing on the market in general about
Yeah.
EVs, and then Tesla is part of that business.
Well, we know China is in recession. We know that several companies in Europe are in recession. We also are hearing chatter about the Federal Reserve raising interest rates.
Right, right.
So if the United States is not going to lead the world out of recession and it's going to follow the world into recession, then, EV sales will stall along with auto sales. Auto sales are in a strange situation. There are patches of very good auto sales and patches of really bad auto sales. It's really hard to tell what's going on. I read today in the newspaper that Toyota are paying its suppliers a whole lot of extra money to improve the suppliers' workers' conditions. You don't do that unless unless things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, there's definitely global recession, and there's no doubt that the United States is running way ahead from a growth perspective than the rest of the world, with very few exceptions.
Yes.
So it's really a puzzle, and within an enigma, and wrapped in a mystery.
Yes.
As Churchill was wont to say. I don't know. I don't know, Randy. It's really a mystery where we are.
So that was actually my next question, because I'm like you. I mean, I haven't been willing to actually say we're going to have a recession, but I have my doubts about getting into the third quarter without one. And the Fed seems to be ignoring every single thing that they said they were going to do. They said they wanted 6 months in a row of 5 to 6 months in a row of progress on inflation. They've got that. PCE comes out next week. If the PCE gives us another month, I don't know what it's going to look like. There are ways you can kind of predict it. I just don't go back and do the math, but if that comes out in the same range as it's been the last couple of months, do you think the Fed still takes another look for March?
No.
No. Yeah.
This Fed is looking for every excuse not to adjust its stance. And just the fact that there's this chatter about raising rates indicates to me that the noise coming out of the Fed is not great. So that's what my gut tells me, but I could be wrong.
The Atlanta Fed came out yesterday or the day before and said that they're showing inflation at 2.2.
If you're showing 2.2, but the Atlanta Fed has been has had low inflation prints for a while now. So they may be the the least the least bullish of is it bullish? The least aggressive of the Federal Reserves.
Gotcha. Yeah. So so if we don't have a drop in the interest rates, well, okay, I'm going to ask it a little different because I've been thinking about this for about 3 days, haven't had a chance to ask anybody about it. But I have said that you and I have talked about this months ago. The interest rates at 5.25%, 5.5%, the Fed at 5.25%, 5.5%, the Treasury's at 4.25%. Mortgages at just under 7%. These are not crazy numbers. These are not nutty numbers. I don't know how many people really are being stopped from taking their next action based on this. I mean, take mortgages as an example. Everybody that's got a house now or that has thought about buying a house for the last few years knows that they were refinancing their mortgages sometimes 2, 3, 4 times during the last downturn. So you can get your mortgage at 6.7% and you can turn around and go out and refinance it 6 months or a year from now and get it back down to whatever the numbers are then. So I'm not sure how many people are absolutely just, saying, nope, I'm not going to buy that car. I'm not going to buy that house. I'm not going to buy that refrigerator. I'm not sure that's what's keeping people from buying right now.
Well, what you're saying is eminently correct because we haven't seen a pullback by the consumer other than in buying houses. They're not buying houses.
No houses.
But we haven't seen a pullback from the consumer. But at the same time, we have seen prices moderate. Although my wife claims that prices are still going crazy, but if you look at the numbers, the prices are moderating. Consumer hasn't pulled back very much, but there are still these very, very, very tough areas. Real estate. It's just a very difficult environment for an economist to really understand because this is a unique situation. I'm still very, very concerned about a recession, and to me, the question is whether the Fed has the nous, whether they have the sense of how to deal with it. It just seems that they, they give us a signal and then they go in another, they just continue down this strange path. They give us another signal and they continue down the strange path. So it's really difficult. It's hard for the market to respond to that.
So coming back to NVIDIA again, just one more time, and it's kind of a lot of people are talking about a bubble. I think there's zero chance that this is a bubble, but I do think that there is a possibility of people over ordering NVIDIA chips.
Yeah.
I think there's a real possibility that a lot of the Magnificent Seven companies, not just Tesla, but other in the Magnificent Seven, are going to build their own chips, or they're going to get somebody else to build the chips. I
Yeah.
do think that there's got to be entrepreneurs out there who are going, I'm getting in this business. So at some point, this is not going to be maintained.
I'm aligned with you. Look, the chip business has forever been cyclical. Forever. I mean, it goes in these cycles, and we're in, a super cycle right now because of AI. But every cycle has the seed of its own destruction.
Yeah. Okay.
And whether it's everybody now going to build their own chip, because there's really only a handful of foundries.
Yeah.
And behind that handful of foundries, there's really only one manufacturer of the actual equipment that makes the stuff. And so every one of these bubbles have the seed of its own destruction. When I say a bubble, every one of these, bursts of and this one is no different, except this may be higher.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the destruction. So I think you're right. But actually, if you assume that people are going to actually take the production that they have committed for, and it's pay or take or pay.
Right.
When they order from NVIDIA, they give NVIDIA a commitment that they're either going to take those processes or they will pay for them if they don't take them. Right. So they got to take them. So the orders are solid.
Right.
Their forward earnings multiple is no different now than it was, 200 points ago, 300 points ago.
Right.
So you have to say, well, that's then how else can you price NVIDIA? And that's what the market's putting it at. And, are you going to stay for the ride? Is there much upside potential? It's possible that there's another blowout quarter. It's possible there's another 2 blowout quarters. And so the market could rise. But we could also wake up in the morning and say the party's over and blah, blah, blah. Dangerous.
Right? Yeah. One last thing, Larry. I know that you are restricted from giving me as much as you might like to give me on this, but on the Cybertruck, you were just down in Austin. You had a chance to visit with Joe Tegmeyer and watch him fly his drones and have a good
Man, he's the real deal. He flies that drone with such elan. I mean, he's flying it and he's chatting away to me and he says, and now I'm looking at this and now I'm looking at that. And now let me take a few pictures of this. And he's chattering away to me, but he's so professional, amazing guy. Amazing. We are such a lucky community.
Yeah.
Such a lucky community. It's amazing.
Yeah, so he has mentioned in his postings on X that yesterday there was 100 Cybertrucks in the lot. Today there was, I think he said 35 more or 25, I forget how many more. So I started doing the multiplication. I said, well, they must be getting close to like 1,000 a month at this point. So Larry, as much as you can say, what can you tell us that you?
I know as much as you do. I sat there, I stood there and watched those damn things coming.
Oh.
And it's not like there was 100 yesterday and they added 35. They are, those Cybertrucks are being produced at a heck of a lick. And so I'm very comfortable that the ramp is going at least as well as I thought it was going to go. So that's pretty exciting. I talked about 100,000 Cybertrucks being delivered this year, and I'm probably at the highest end of the estimate of everybody.
Right.
And I'm not retreating from my estimate at this point based upon what I see. Now, It could be that they can't grow any faster because they're missing, one machine, and so they need two machines to do whatever they need to do. It's possible, and so, maybe they won't ramp from this point up. But if what I saw in terms of production today is representative of a production ramp without, any step risks as they go, then I'm convinced that they could hit that 100 for the year. Maybe 90, maybe 95, but
Yeah.
100 is in play.
So what we could really take away from this is that with a ramp of at least my 30 a day, and you're saying way more than that, if we're at least 30 or so a day, that they have not run into any significant issues in terms of the basic processes. They're doing just fine on all the basics.
Yeah, the question is, do they have the equipment to scale up?
Right.
In other words, clearly they're able to assemble whatever they're assembling now. It's a lot more than 30 a day, in my judgment. I mean, it could be wrong, but in my judgment, it's a lot more than 30 a day. A hell of a lot more. I mean, but the question is, what is it going to take to scale up? Is it simply a matter of speeding up the line and just getting faster and faster and faster? Or is there a bottleneck, a particular machine or a particular process bottleneck without which, that they need a step change? And if that step change happens later in the year than early in the year, then that could imperil, the numbers. Now, some people have estimated 25,000 for the year. I think we're past that point now. Honestly, I think that there's no doubt. The question is, how much higher than 50,000 for the year? And can they hit 100,000? That's the question in my mind.
Right. Fantastic, Larry. I appreciate you as always. I do like, of course, at the end of just to look at Tesla in the after hours and see if it continued to do what it was doing or do something new. And I have apparently completely messed up my app. What am I looking at here? Oh, I know what I did. Okay. I had somebody else. There we go. All right. So we have in the after hours down another buck. I don't know. Down another buck. What are you going to do? It's 190.90. And one of the guy who posts all the time and makes a lot of comments about where it's going to be on any given day, he picked it out. He hit it exactly today. He said it was going to be at 191. So we'll have to give him some Squawk Box. Actually, was the one that or Squawk, or I forget what he calls himself exactly. But all right. So Larry,
and I will remind you, Randy, oil is over $80.
No, it's down. Came down $2 today. Came down $2 today. Whoops, wait a minute. Let me look. Last time I looked. Now, you talking about Brent, or are you talking about Texas Intermediate?
Brent.
Oh, yeah, Brent's over $80. Absolutely. Texas Intermediate, 76.57. So that's now back down more into its range. Brent at 81.65, which is almost exactly now back to $5 difference. That's the interesting part. Back to a $5 difference. That's usually because something's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah, I think something is happening in the Middle East. Anyway, that may be, what people are looking at in terms of, inflation.
Could be. Absolutely. Well, okay, Larry, I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you again for bringing in the good news on Friday evenings. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you.